Have you ever felt pain that cuts deeper than usual? Pain from someone you trusted, someone you let into your heart? It's not the strangers, the acquaintances, or the casual critics who hurt us the most. It's the people we trusted, relied upon, and shared our lives with. The problem is that trust amplifies vulnerability, and vulnerability magnifies hurt. In this video, we'll explore why the deepest pain comes from those closest to us and how understanding this can help protect your heart while nurturing meaningful relationships. Trust is one of the most beautiful yet fragile parts of human connection. It allows us to open our hearts, share our dreams, and depend on others for support. But the closer someone is to us, the greater the emotional risk. When trust is broken, it leaves a wound that is deeper, more personal, and often more confusing than any external conflict. Understanding why we get hurt the most by those we trust is not meant to make us cynical. It's meant to help us navigate relationships with awareness, balance, and compassion. The people we trust the most are those to whom we expose our vulnerabilities. We share our fears, dreams, weaknesses, and deepest desires with them. Vulnerability on a street. Vulnerability is an essential part of closeness, but it comes with inherent risk. When someone you trust betrays that openness through lies, broken promises, or neglect, the emotional impact is magnified precisely because they had access to the parts of you that you usually guard. Vulnerability is a double-edged sword, allows connection, intimacy, and love to flourish, but it also creates the opportunity for hurt. But it also creates the opportunity for, when we open ourselves fully, the heart beats not just with joy, but also with potential pain. Trusting someone means letting them hold a mirror to our authentic selves. The deeper the trust, the more personal the reflection, and when that reflection is mishandled or distorted, it hurts far more than ordinary criticism or rejection. Consider the difference between being hurt by a stranger and being hurt by a stranger and being hurt by a close friend. A stranger's words might sting, but we rarely internalize them. Their influence is minimal because they don't have emotional access. But when a trusted person causes pain, it reverberates through the core of our identity. We question our judgment, wonder about our worth, and even doubt our worth, and even doubt our ability to trust again. This is why betrayal by someone close often feels like it is not just about their actions. It feels like a reflection of our own failure to see clearly or protect ourselves. Vulnerable balloons on the street. Vulnerability also heightens awareness of subtle betrayals. Even small acts of dishonesty, neglect, or indifference can hurt deeply when they come from someone we rely on. A friend who forgets a promise, a partner who dismisses your concerns, or a family member who fails to support you, these are not just minor inconveniences. They pierce the heart because they violate the implicit understanding that trust creates. The emotional weight of these actions is compounded by the fact that we invested care, love, and belief in the person. Interestingly, the same vulnerable wounds that leads to pain also makes relationships meaningful. Without exposing our inner selves, intimacy cannot exist. It is precisely because we let people in that we experience connection, joy, and love. Pain and vulnerability are intertwined. One cannot exist without the other. Recognizing this allows us to approach relationships with balance, not naively, but with mindful openness that protects the heart while allowing genuine connection. Another factor that magnifies hurt is the emotional memory associated with trust. When someone we rely on disappoints us, the brain records not only the specific event but also the emotional context of trust. This creates a vivid memory of betrayal that can resurface unexpectedly long after the initial incident. Awareness of this mechanism helps in understanding why trust violations feel heavier than ordinary conflicts. They're not just about the event, but about the emotional terrain in which they occur. Ultimately, vulnerability is the reason why people get hurt the most by those they trust. The emotional exposure, the intimacy, and the belief in someone's integrity create fertile ground for pain when that trust is broken, but understanding this principle also offers a path forward. But understanding this principle also offers a path. It reminds us to choose carefully who we trust, to invest wisely in relationships, and to cultivate resilience in the face of inevitable human imperfection. One of the reasons people get hurt the most by those they trust is that trust naturally comes with expectations. When we allow someone into our hearts, we assume they will act with care, honor their promises, and respect the bond we share. These expectations are not demands. They are an emotional framework that gives relationships depth, meaning, and stability. However, when these expectations are unmet, the disappointment cuts far deeper than ordinary setbacks because it violates the implicit understanding we had of safety, loyalty, and love. Expectations are an inevitable part of human connection. We expect friends to listen, partners to be supportive, and family to show understanding. These are reasonable balloons on the street. But expectations are fragile. They require mutual effort and alignment. When someone fails to meet them, especially repeatedly, the emotional impact is magnified because it is a direct challenge to the trust and faith we invested in them. Unlike casual interactions with acquaintances, these disappointments feel personal, targeted, and often undeserved, which intensifies the pain. Another layer of complexity is that expectations are often unspoken. We may assume someone knows how we feel or should act in certain situations. When their behavior falls short, we experience hurt not only because they acted differently, but because our unarticulated hope or belief was violated. This type of emotional exposure is subtle yet profound. It teaches a painful lesson. People cannot always meet the standards we hold in our minds, and when expectations collide with the reality, our heart bears the brunt. It's also important to recognize that expectations are rooted in love, care, and hope. They emerge because we believe in the person, invest in the relationship, and envision a shared future. When these expectations are unmet, the betrayal feels magnified precisely because it comes from someone whose integrity and alignment we assume. The pain is not just about the act itself, but about the emotional risk we took in opening our hearts. The greater the investment, the heavier the disappointment. This emotional exposure is why trust without awareness can be dangerous. While we cannot eliminate expectations entirely, we can manage them with mindfulness and realistic understanding. Accepting that humans are imperfect allows us to navigate relationships without being crushed by unmet hopes. It does not mean lowering standards or avoiding closeness. It means combining love and connection with discernment so that when disappointment occurs, it does not devastate our emotional stability. disappointment often serves as a mirror, reflecting both the limits of the other person and our own reliance on them for fulfillment. When someone fails to meet our expectations, it can awaken a deeper awareness that our peace, joy, and sense of worth cannot be entirely dependent on another person's actions. Emotional resilience grows when we recognize that while relationships are precious, our internal equilibrium is ultimately our responsibility. Expectations also shape the trajectory of future actions over time. If unmet expectations of tension, resentment, and emotional fatigue, even small instances of neglect or inconsideration add weight to the relationship, subtly eroding trust and connection. Awareness of this dynamic allows us to respond consciously. We can communicate needs clearly, adjust expectations realistically, or choose to step back when patterns of hurt persist. This protects our energy while preserving the possibility of authentic connection. In essence, expectations create emotional exposure because they intertwine hope, vulnerability, and trust. The greater the expectation, the more one risks disappointment when it is unmet. Understanding this principle empowers us to navigate relationships with both heart and clarity. We learn to trust thoughtfully, love intentionally, and remain emotionally resilient when reality does not align perfectly with our hopes. By managing expectations wisely, we can preserve our peace, honor our connections, and reduce the intensity of hurt without closing our hearts to those we care about. The people we allow closest to us, family, friends, partners, mentors, have the most access to our thoughts, emotions, and daily life. Proximity intensifies connection, but it also magnifies pain. The closer someone is to you, physically, emotionally, or mentally, the greater their influence on your mood, your choices, and your well-being. When trust is broken or expectations are unmet, the hurt is amplified because the impact is felt not in isolation but across multiple areas of life. Proximity makes betrayal more personal. If a stranger disappoints or insults you, it can sting, but the emotional wound is often limited because they don't have a stake in your life. When someone you live with, share your dreams with, or confide in causes pain, the wound is multidimensional. It touches your daily routine, your emotional rhythm, and your sense of security. A partner's neglect can make a home feel cold. A friend's betrayal can make social spaces uncomfortable. A family member's criticism can reverberate in your self-worth. For days, the closeness of these relationships amplifies the reach and intensity of emotional pain. Proximity also means repeated interaction, which magnifies the effect. You cannot always avoid seeing or interacting with someone close to you, so the emotional exposure continues. Each encounter can trigger old wounds, reignite disappointment, or reinforce feelings of betrayal. Unlike distant acquaintances whose words or actions are fleeting, close relationships involve ongoing engagement, which can make recovery from hurt slower and more complex. The emotional energy needed to navigate these relationships increases, leaving you fatigued and vulnerable. Moreover, proximity fosters deeper attachment. We naturally invest more of our time, energy, and love in people who are near us, this attachment makes their actions more impactful. When they affirm, support, or inspire us, it feels rewarding. But when they fail, hurt, or betray, it feels devastating. The emotional swing is wider because the same closeness that nurtures joy also carries the risk of deeper pain. Closeness and trust create a powerful emotional bond, which is both beautiful and delicate. The influence of proximity extends beyond feelings. It shapes identity and decision making. Those closest to us often play a role in shaping how we see ourselves, our values and our choices, When they hurt us intentionally or unintentionally, it can create internal conflict, self-doubt, and even confusion about our own judgment. The pain is compounded because it challenges not only our trust, but also our perception of ourselves. Within the relationship, awareness of the power of proximity allows us to navigate relationships more wisely. We learn that closeness is a privilege that comes with responsibility, both for the other person and for ourselves. We can cultivate healthy boundaries, communicate openly, and create emotional space to protect our well-being while maintaining connection. Proximity does not have to be dangerous, but without awareness, it can magnify both vulnerability and hurt. Ultimately, proximity amplifies influence and pain because closeness intensifies emotional stakes. The deeper the connection, the greater the opportunity for joy and for hurt. By recognizing this, we can approach relationships with both heart